to put up on the side. Hey, I let it get surprised. I'm on the program and closing my eyes. I can't even tell you.
What's up, gang? We back with another one today, man. We got part 2 of the Young Boy Real Killer of Fake Gangster. Oh, I didn't put my laptop on the charger. 1 second. Alright, man, we finna go and get into it. We left off on the rise of NBA YoungBoy.
At this point, YoungBoy seemingly had fully muscled his way into the music industry, and it would be these major moves that would have YoungBoy's name ringing not just in the streets, but also in the corner offices of record labels. At a certain point in 2016, he started working with super manager Fee Banks, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. Fee would begin to advocate on behalf of YoungBoy in the music industry, ultimately putting him in the position to field multi-million-dollar offers from major record labels. So at this point, YoungBoy was seemingly set. He'd survived the dangerous streets of Northside 38, escaping the trenches with his life, and escaping the clutches of his former crew TBG, as a free agent able to take his career wherever he wanted without hindrance.
Oh, real quick, do you remember anything from the beginning, right? Yeah. Alright, cool.
The problem is, sometimes you can rise to the top so fast that it hurts. And unfortunately for YoungBoy, troubling legal issues seem to arrive just as quickly as the money and fame did. And unfortunately, due to the brewing troubles in the streets between his former crew and his extended family, YoungBoy would end up being placed in a difficult position, ultimately catching a serious case that had the potential to put a complete stop to his promising career just as it was getting started.
I think that's where we left off.
While YoungBoy's star is beginning to rise, the deadly war on the streets of Baton Rouge is raging on. After departing from the crew TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, YoungBoy and his Never Broke Again or NBA collective would become bitter rivals with the former crew. And this situation was only complicated further by the ongoing drama between TBG and their original rivals BBG, Bottom Boy Gorillas, a crew which YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla was a prominent member of. Despite the two apparently having a falling out in 2015, it would seem that by 2016, Boozilla and YoungBoy's NBA crew had made things right, as Boozilla would post on Twitter that he'd forgiven, as well as tweeting warning people not to play with BBG or NBA, suggesting that these two crews were in alliance against TBG and any of their affiliates. But things would all come to a head for these warring groups at the end of 2016. On July the 16th, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla drops the song Forgive Me, where he's dissing TBG and repping BBG, with lyrics in the song dissing another local rapper by the name of FL Dusa, saying Dusa is scared to walk through the South and that they're laying down the law in their area. It would seem that this lyric was taken as a personal challenge by his opposition, as just after midnight on November the 2nd, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin, 18-year-old BBG Boozilla, real name Keandre Ricks, would be riding his bike near the 2000 block of Nebraska Street, less than a block from his family home. And it was here where he was targeted by gunmen who shot him multiple times in the upper torso and left him dead in the middle of the street. Boozilla's mother would go on to do a distraught interview with WAFB News after reports of the brutal killing became public.
You gotta bury your child. This is so wrong when people kill kids.
Kenya Taylor is still grieving more than a month after her son, 18-year-old Keandre Ricks, was shot and killed just steps away from his Nebraska Street home.
It's like I'm dreaming and I haven't woke up yet. Like, I had a bad dream. I'm just waiting on the Lord to wake me up.
Taylor walked us over to where her son's body was found, a place she's visited often, trying to make sense of the senseless killing.
Then this way he must have fell it right here, because they had blood all right here.
Now, after this shooting, things get very complicated. It's widely believed that the murder of Boozilla was in connection with the ongoing feud that he had going with FL Dusa, with the majority of the comments on Boozilla's music video Forgive Me seeming to mock him, saying that he said Dusa is scared to walk through the South, and suggesting that this caused somebody to come through and take his life. Now, despite the differences they may have had in the past, naturally the murder of Boozilla would have devastating effects on his cousin YoungBoy and other members of NBA and BBG. So, unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for those on Boozilla's side to attempt to get revenge for his murder. Boozilla was killed around midnight on Wednesday the 2nd November 2016, and retaliation would come around 9.5 hours later, when around 9:30 AM on the 2000 block of Kentucky Street, just a couple of blocks away from where the fatal shooting of Boozilla occurred, a vehicle containing YoungBoy and 3 of his NBA affiliates pulls up and starts shooting. Unfortunately, this attempt at revenge ends up going wrong, and somebody from YoungBoy's group ends up getting shot in the neck. Allegedly, NBA Joe.
Police find a man suffering from a gunshot wound to the neck. saying he was shot in a different neighborhood just a few streets away.
With rumours circulating, debating whether or not it was friendly fire from YoungBoy or his side hitting Joe, or the targets of their gunfire, returning fire, and connecting. And years later, the police report from the incident would even suggest that YoungBoy himself had been firing from the vehicle with an assault rifle. Regardless of exactly who was responsible, at this point the getaway car flees the scene, with the shooters and the injured man driving to the area of May and East Lakeshore Drive. Ultimately, this car would end up getting a flat tire and crashing at the LSU Lakes. Here, the shooters flee, leaving the injured man in his vehicle, where he's fortunately found by police and given medical attention. Naturally, it didn't take long for details of these outrageous back-to-back shootings to hit the news.
At this hour, there are a lot of questions remaining around two Baton Rouge shootings. One left a teenager dead, the other ended with the victim wounded at LSU Lakes.
Possibly three different scenes, and all three may be connected. That's what Baton Rouge police are trying to figure out. They have been interviewing witnesses, but so far they do not have any suspects.
Just after midnight, Baton Rouge police went out to Nebraska Street. 18-year-old Keandre Ricks was found dead, lying in the street, shot multiple times in the chest. Neighbors in the area tell us they saw a silver-colored Hyundai with three people inside driving around the area late night and into this morning. Then, shortly after 9:30 this morning, police get a call from a man shot once in the neck around the LSU Lakes. When they finally found him, he was in a silver-colored Hyundai. He was transported to the hospital and listed in stable condition as of now. Baton Rouge police have said the shooting did not start here at the lakes. Instead, they're looking to see if three...
Hold on, because he said NBA Joe was the one that got shot in the neck, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So they just left him there?
Yeah, they wasn't sure. Well, he must have had a graze wound. But yeah, they left him. They said they pulled up to the lake, we caught the flat tire and jumped out and left him in the car until the police came and gave him medicals.
Okay.
Different scenes are all connected. The first was at Nebraska. Well, just 8 streets over, or 0.4 miles away. Around 9:30 this morning, police say a man was shot in the neck. He, or the suspect, then drove 1.4 miles to East Lakeshore in May, around the LSU Lakes, and called police for help.
This is not a random shooting. They believe the shooter and victim actually did know each other.
Surprisingly, however, the violence was still not over, and the following day, on the 3rd of November 2016, at roughly 9:49 a.m., shooters would return to the street where Boozer lived with his family and was killed, with officers nearby claiming to have heard 37 gunshots, apparently fired by two shooters, who then fled the scene in a getaway vehicle. They would leave 2 homes on the street riddled with bullets, and at this point, the violence in Baton Rouge, held just in this street alone, was spiraling out of control. And at a certain point, the danger was so high that the authorities placed the local school on lockdown out of fear that further shootings would affect the children in the local community.
A number of schools in East Baton Rouge Parish are on lockdown, and for separate reasons today. We start with the 3 schools that were also placed on lockdown yesterday.
Police are still on scene here at the intersection of Nebraska and East Harrison Street. They're looking into reports of shots fired earlier today. Now you can see details are still very limited, but much of the investigation is centered around this white home here right near the intersection of East Harrison and Nebraska Street. This is the latest in a rash of recent shootings in this area over the past few days, including one that left an 18-year-old dead. The teen was found shot to death Wednesday in the 2000 block of Nebraska Street. That incident happened around midnight. Then yesterday morning around 9:30, a man was shot in the neck on Kentucky Street, which is just a couple of blocks from the spot where that fatal shooting occurred. The victim left the area in a car and then parked around the LSU Lakes to call for help. These recent violent incidents near Nebraska have left some residents feeling uneasy.
At this point, even people living on this street were being interviewed by the news, telling them that it's like living in hell.
I live on this street, and this about the worst street to live on. You say living in hell? This is hell right here. The young folks don't have no respect for old Elizabeth.
At some point, the shooting would stop, the smoke would clear, and local investigators would finally be able to piece together exactly what had happened and putting those involved in handcuffs. A 17-year-old man by the name of Trayshawn Coates would be arrested and charged with second-degree murder for the killing of Boozilla, along with a 27-year-old man by the name of Monty Carey. This was reported in The Advocate, that also published an interview with Boozilla's mother. In it, she would claim that since the killing, her other children's grades have fallen in school, and that they're suffering behavioural issues. And I thought that this was an important detail to include, because you have to remember that when somebody gets killed in a gang feud, it starts a chain reaction. And ultimately, this cycle of violence affects far more than just the victims. Whether it's their innocent relatives suffering depression following the incident, or surviving friends who vow to commit acts of violence in revenge, a vicious cycle is started when that first killing happens, that only accelerates with more retaliation, dragging more and more innocent people into this deadly cycle of violence. Anyway, despite the rumours that FL Dusa was involved in the killing of Boozilla after he dissed him on the song Forgive Me, Dusa, real name Renard Clifton, would not be connected to this incident officially, though theories would circulate online suggesting that he was the one that sent the hit. He would remain free following this incident, going on to release songs like Straight Facts. However, he would end up in jail on a separate attempted murder charge stemming from a double shooting on the 3rd of June 2018, which we'll go into in detail later. But with the shooters of Boozilla in cuffs, the Baton Rouge police would next be tasked with finding those NBA members who slid the following day, with one member who got shot in the neck already in the arms of law enforcement. Their next job was to get their hands on YoungBoy himself. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he would be tracked down by authorities, being arrested on November the 28th, being taken into custody by US Marshals just before he could get on stage at a show in Austin, Texas, in dramatic scenes that were even caught on camera.
I remember this because I was obviously going to school in Austin, Texas in 2018.
Maybe a young boy was there.
Yeah, I mean I wasn't at the thing, but I knew he was in town.
Right.
And then you get on social media and you hear the same night he done got arrested. I'm like, dang, something must have. I'm thinking something happened at the club or something. Something that broke out. But this before everybody knew all the details of what he had got arrested for.
So this he got arrested for something he did back home.
Yeah.
Then a couple of days later, or maybe even the next day, he had a show in Austin. So
yeah.
he's gone out the area.
Yeah, so it was,
He was gone from this area.
Yeah, they came all the way there to get him.
Right.
Or had the Austin police get him, so you know. But nah, that's crazy. That was crazy though, because he was in the city I was in.
Right.
Got hurt same night, got arrested.
Just before he could get on stage at a show in Austin, Texas, in dramatic scenes that were even caught on camera.
Hey, get inside, get inside. Hey, get the hell inside, get the fuck inside.
YoungBoy was charged on suspicion of attempted first-degree murder from the alleged drive-by shooting, while NBA Big B, real name Trulondre Norman, was also involved in the shooting but wouldn't get arrested for his role in it until 2019. There was also NBA Ben 10, real name Ben Fields, who would also be identified as having participated in this drive-by shooting. As a result, following the arrest of the NBA crew and YoungBoy himself, the local news will begin to report on this dramatic takedown of one of Baton Rouge's most promising rappers.
17-year-old rapper Kentrell Gaulden, better known by his stage name NBA YoungBoy, is behind bars tonight after being taken into custody by federal authorities before a concert in Austin, Texas.
Tonight, police say they've arrested 17-year-old Kentrell Gaulden, a rapper known by his stage name NBA YoungBoy, in connection to a drive-by shooting on Kentucky Street. Detectives believe those shootings may have been in retaliation to Rick's death and say more arrests are possible as they continue to investigate.
Being myself is the boldest thing I can do. My own self. Proud, strong, free.
At this point, YoungBoy would be taken back to Louisiana and booked into prison with a $200,000 bond being set. But the Baton Rouge police weren't done seeking justice yet, as the final piece of the puzzle would fall into place once police announced an arrest in the third shooting, which occurred on Boozilla Street the day after NBA members had attempted to get revenge for his death the previous night, with cops identifying 20-year-old Derek Geis, who was taken into custody, accused of being the getaway.
Dang, that's brother. LSU had a football player, he said Darius Geis. I forgot what the dude, I just know, I know the last name Geis, because it was, let's say LSU football player brother, they had a running back that was real cold, that was their running back that year, and he ended up going to the NFL. I think he played for like the Redskins or something.
Oh wow.
Nah, that's crazy.
The day after NBA members had attempted to get revenge for his death the previous night,
one brother
with cops
NFL,
identifying 20-year-old Derek Geis, who was
crazy.
taken into custody, accused of being the getaway driver for two other shooters, being charged with attempted murder, attempted second-degree murder, aggravated criminal damage of property, illegal use of a weapon, and simple criminal damage to property. And he would ultimately end up pleading down to a lesser weapons charge and getting only 2 years in jail, with cops ultimately identifying one of the shooters in the case as Michael Odenyinma, as well as, shockingly, Trayshawn Cope, quotes, that very same person who was charged for the Boozilla murder just the day before. Which means that if true, the person that killed Boozilla did it, got spun on by NBA, and still went back the very next day and shot up that same block again. But unfortunately, due to him being just age 17, there was never any public reporting on whether or not he was found guilty for these crimes or sentenced. The murder of Boozilla and days of deadly violence that followed truly...
He was 17 years old.
Oh, he was a minor?
He was a minor.
For these crimes or sentenced. The murder of Boozilla and days of deadly violence that followed truly rocked this Baton Rouge community, as well as those connected to the victims. Many NBA members would get RIP Boo tattoos on their necks, and others would be seen toting guns at Boozilla's grave. Regular celebrations would be held called Boo Day on his birthday in his honor, and at the 2018 celebration of Boozilla's life, his mother would speak to a crowd, delivering some poignant words to a number of friends and family who had gathered in the area.
It's just my baby time to go. Yes, it hurts. But the good Lord called him home, so we're in a better place. And they asked him to come back when he must want to come back here. He just gonna wait on us to come up there, so y'all gotta do good. So y'all can make it to heaven. He was like, you do for the Lord. I know a lot of people like doing a lot of stupid things, and I ain't gonna tell y'all don't handle y'all business, but if they ain't coming at you, don't worry about it. But if they come at you, you handle your business. That's all I can tell you. But all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pray for all of y'all. Pray y'all make it home safe and pray for y'all every day. Because I don't want nobody to go through what I'm going through, because this really hurts. This like about to send me insane. Like some days I do good and some days I have my bad days and the day just a good day. But I don't want to see nobody mama going through what I'm going through, nobody's siblings, nobody's family, nothing, because that really hurts. They're like, when somebody do things like that, change a person's whole life. You think you can hurt that person, you hurt that person, and they make for them to be here, they won't leave here. So that person ain't peace. But that person's family is suffering. So all I want y'all to do is do good things, get y'all education, be the best y'all can be, the sky's the limit, whatever y'all want to do, y'all do.
It's important to remember that no matter how many songs or social media posts glamorize the sliding that goes on between these gangs, behind this are grieving families, mothers and siblings who have to live with the consequences of these split-second decisions. And as she said, when somebody dies in the gang wars, that person who died is at peace. It's everyone else who was innocent to the original beef that has to live on with the grief of someone else's impulsive decisions. Sadly, it would take many years for YoungBoy to realise the consequences of the violence playing out in his music and in his life. But for now, he would be stuck in the system waiting for a chance to plead his case in front of a judge. At the time of these charges, YoungBoy was only 17 years old, but Louisiana is one of the few states in the US where 17-year-olds can be charged as adults. And so, YoungBoy spent December 2016 to August 2017 incarcerated, waiting for updates on his case. But, at least for the fans, it wasn't all bad, because while YoungBoy was locked up, his management team got to work and did their best to keep his music career alive. They created an updated version of his previous project, Before I Go, re-releasing it as Before I Go Reloaded, removing the songs Stuck With Me, Change, and All Night, and adding that 21 Savage remix of Murder, along with the track Bands and Fact. Then, on April the 14th, 2017, the label also released a reloaded version of his Mind of a Menace 3 mixtape, which removed the Murder remix with 21 Savage, because they just put it on the Before I Go Reloaded mixtape, as well as taking off the tracks Life and Booting in this, and adding the tracks Blowing Up and Just Made a Play featuring Moneybagg Yo. So, while YoungBoy was sitting in jail, all of these songs that were being released were picking up heat in the streets, and fans would eagerly await his release. And eventually, to some people's surprise, YoungBoy was actually able to cut a pretty favourable deal with prosecutors, copping to the lesser charge of aggravated assault with a firearm. On August the 22nd, 2017, YoungBoy was sentenced to a term of 10 years suspended prison time and 3 years of active supervised probation, which essentially meant that he was able to get out of jail and return to his music career. But the potential to have to go back and serve a full 10 years in prison would now follow him around for 3 years, along with a probation officer who would be closely supervising his every move going forward. In addition to that, he was also ordered to pay a fine of $5,000 and do 250 hours of supervised community service, which apparently even included...
That's what it was that I kept trying to explain when we were going through the songs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How he had the 10-year sentence.
Right.
That's what it was. Suspended 10 year. Dang, I ain't even never know they did stuff like that till it happened to him.
Yeah,
so you got 3 years watching you closely. So you make a mistake, they gave you that 10.
The old saying, just spit on the ground, man. We're coming to get you.
That's crazy.
dollars and do 250 hours of supervised community service, which apparently even included doing an anti-violence PSA, which to the disappointment of fans everywhere, never seemed to actually surface publicly. But YoungBoy wouldn't simply waltz out of the courtroom, because apparently during that sentence, he had what was described as a tense but respectful back and forth with District Judge Bonnie Jackson. Apparently during the case, she admonished him for going out with his boys looking for trouble and finding it. But YoungBoy, to his credit, kept his cool during this exchange, taking full responsibility for everything that had gone down in the incident. Judge Jackson went on to say that she didn't care about YoungBoy's celebrity status and suggested that his rap music wasn't helping the high rates of violence in the community that he was coming out of. The judge would tell him directly that the genre of music that he makes has a lot to do with the mindset that people have, suggesting that it normalized violence. Apparently, YoungBoy actually interjected at this point, reminding the judge that nobody had actually died in the incident, with the judge clapping back, saying that he's lucky that he's such a bad aim and that he wasn't facing first-degree murder charges. It's also worth pointing out that the court did hear about how YoungBoy had been trying to make a difference in his community by looking after his mother, buying her a home, and giving out school supplies to local children. The judge would then make a smearing and condescending remark about the fact that YoungBoy had 3 kids at 17 years old. In response to that dig by the judge, YoungBoy promised to do right by his family, and once YoungBoy accepted his plea, he would be released from jail ahead of the actual sentencing, being welcome homed by hotshot rappers like Boosie and Young Dolph. YoungBoy would be seen fresh home on social media, being greeted by his NBA crew, and rocking the same Burberry button-up shirt that he was booked for the crime in. Being greeted outside jail by Montana in a white Maybach. YoungBoy was fresh home, and music would be the first thing on his mind. He would be seen filming freestyles in the same outfit and surrounded by his crew and manager Big Dumb.
Count 3 into the zone. Stay in the studio with Shade, in the studio with Strange on the grind every day. I've been chasing that set real dead, baby. On the front car the track.
His first major release since his release would be the biggest song of his career so far, the track Untouchable. This was a big single where YoungBoy spoke optimistic.
Remember doing that one?
Yeah. So now it makes sense. So he did Untouchable right after he got out.
Yeah.
About making it out of the struggle of the Baton Rouge streets, and vowing to make the most of this opportunity that he had to make it through music, and declaring his intention to move out of Baton Rouge to Los Angeles, where he would hope that he no longer needs to carry a gun. Untouchable ended up hitting number 95 on the Billboard charts, becoming YoungBoy's first solo single to chart in the United States. By August 2017, YoungBoy was back in the studio, ready to focus on his music career, despite the prying eyes of a probation officer set to be following him for the coming years. So, following the successful release of Untouchable, YoungBoy's team would drop his latest mixtape, AI YoungBoy, on August 4th, 2017, a project which would end up landing at the impressive number 24 on Billboard's 200 album chart. This also included another popular single, the track No Smoke, which surpassed Untouchable and ended up landing at number 61 on Billboard's Hot 100 singles chart. YoungBoy was storming the charts and seemingly attracting the attention of both labels and other rappers. Funnily enough, on the song GG, YoungBoy seemed to suggest that Chicago rapper Lil Durk and his collective had tried to sign him to his crew and record label, OTF, or Only the Family. But YoungBoy would have bigger ideas than signing to another rapper, as only days after YoungBoy's sentencing went public, it would then be announced that he had officially signed to Atlantic Records, in a huge 5-album contract reportedly worth $2 million. And YoungBoy would seemingly celebrate this deal by purchasing a tiger and telling fans that he got paid a big bag.
I'm like, you pay me.
You pay me.
Good. I got this bag, I'm getting paid for everything I do.
So, despite losing his cousin Boozilla and very nearly losing his freedom attempting to get revenge, in the end, YoungBoy would escape a long prison sentence, returning to the music career that was buzzing before he went to jail and taking it to new heights, landing chart positions on Billboard and a multi-million-dollar deal with a major record label. Things were on the up for the NBA crew, but despite the wins they were having in the industry, there would still be tension in the streets.
Huh?
So he really signed a 5-year contract with Atlantic Records?
Yeah.
For $200 million?
No, is that $2 million, right?
No, $200 million.
Prison sentence, returning to the music career that was buzzing before he went to jail and taking it to new heights, landing chart positions on Billboard and a multi-million-dollar deal with a major.
Right there.
Let's say deal worth $2 million.
No, it's more than that. No one signed no 5 million. Five
Not
albums.
5 year, 5 albums.
Ain't signed no 5 albums for no 2 million. Ain't nothing. There ain't no money.
That's a lot of money for him at that time.
Well, okay.
That's a ton of money for him at that time.
Record label. Things were on the up for the NBA crew, but despite the wins they were having in the industry, there would still be tension in the streets, as YoungBoy had a whole host of enemies who would be dissing him while he was locked up.
You gotta think about it, that's probably why he dropped so much music. He dropped 5 albums alone in 2018. That 5 album contract wasn't nothing. You like, give me the next deal.
I don't know. Go back. I mean, maybe they. I thought you said
$2 million. It was $2 million.
I thought you said.
I'm pretty sure it was $2 million. I'll look it up.
For when he was released, with the NBA crew ultimately taking drastic action to protect their star prospect.
Are you sick of
When YoungBoy began picking up steam as a rapper in Baton Rouge, naturally, he attracted a lot of opposition. After parting ways with former street crew turned label TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, he would find himself at war with their main artists, G Money and Fredo Bang. But they wouldn't be the only enemies that YoungBoy would make in the city. In November 2015, YoungBoy dropped a song called Homicide, a collaboration with another Baton Rouge rapper by the name of Scotty Kane. They would appear together on the song and in the music video, and apparently YoungBoy would become friends with Kane. But later, they had a falling out, with some suggesting that Kane may have felt slighted by lyrics on his song So Long, where YoungBoy rapped that he blew up in his city and that he was getting views even without the song with Scotty. This was followed by an IG live clip where YoungBoy would rap lyrics saying that someone changed on him. Apparently at some point, Scotty Kane caught YoungBoy in a studio and slapped him, later taking to social media to explain his side of the story, saying that YoungBoy had begged him for a verse and after asked him for money for shoots, and saying that he was trying to get close to Scotty Kane's crew because he had fallen out with TBG, with Kane even going as far as to tell YoungBoy if he really has money, then send a hit and kill him.
I'm gonna address the situation like a man. Your bitch ass rolled my cousin. Yeah, I came to the studio, he begged me to do the first verse. I did not want to do it, I thought about it, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get a chance. I did the verse, your bitch ass asked me to put some on your shoes. You not with my label, bitch ass, so you. I'm doing, what I'm going half with you on shoes and videos for? It was over there riding TBG, they wanted to roar your ass out. Now your ass come trying to rap mafia music. Now you get on and do all this, you got bread, kill, drop your bread, man, what the, don't do all that. Hear me, come see me. Living like that. Cause you know me. I'm living like that all day, every day. You know how I'm coming.
In response to this deadly threat from Kane, YoungBoy would reply to this by rapping more lyrics from the song Gravity and showing that he had goons behind him ready to shoot.
Yeah, and I don't owe nobody but my mama, boy, and my they was doing super boy. Remember, I ain't had nothing to eat, I go steal for it. Show you my bank account, I swear I got 6 figures large. You don't need a hate, probably won't snake me for it. These under the skies, living under the board. I hate these, they wasn't made for it. Lord, please don't mistake me, play them die, cause I ain't going in the life that I'm living. I'm proud to make it through tonight. As I ride through my city, I'm thinking, looking at the lights.
YoungBoy would appear to address the incident on the song Who You Supposed to Be, admitting that he was sent an address where he pulled up and where he was
they say he signed that first deal in 2016. I thought he was talking about in 2018 still. They say he signed the deal in 2016, the $2 million deal. And mine in 2016, the year he blew up, so of course he taking that $2 million.
Confronted by 3 people, and seemingly admitting to crying when they pulled out guns on him, but still mocking them for not using the guns, and ending the track seemingly threatening to kill Scotty Kane. Later on, Pablo El Chapo, who had apparently intervened in this incident where guns had been pulled on YoungBoy in a studio, posted a clip to social media seemingly confirming that YoungBoy cried and suggesting that he had saved his life.
But I do know, little young boy, when you pull them rods on your ass, you was crying in the studio. I saved your motherfucking life. I told my younger man, leave that slide, bro. That crying, man. Crying in front of his manager, man. Slide, he ain't about that gang shit. Y'all asked him to fight, he won't fight. Then when he brought up the gun, we could do it with the guns. 2 or 3 guns in your face, you was crying. Ass boy. Chapo saved
Kane would actually respond to YoungBoy in a diss track of his own, only days after his cousin Boozilla was gunned down. Scotty Kane would drop the YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke, produced by prolific TBG producer Austin on the Track. On this track, Kane would return YoungBoy's death threats with threats of his own, as well as saying that somebody killed Boozilla and he didn't do anything about it. Kind of an ironic lyric, considering that a month after this song dropped, YoungBoy would indeed be charged with double attempted murder, attempting to do something about Boozilla. But while YoungBoy was in jail for doing exactly that, Scotty would drop a video on Instagram seemingly distancing himself from this beef.
Hey look man, I'm on the road to success man. I ain't with none of that. Y'all can have it. I ain't with that bitch. I ain't trying to kill none of you. I ain't trying to do none of that with none of you, man. Y'all can have it. Man, I got kids. I got so much going on good for me, dog. Like, it's a lot happening right now. I ain't with no cop and deuces and nothing. I just ain't with it. Like, I ain't having it, dog. Like, too many people that's depending on me. Too many people that care about me. I don't need to be doing all this stuff. Like, I gotta do this for my kids and my family and everybody else that love me, dog. Like, all y'all can have it. And y'all want it, y'all can have it.
And he would go on to say in an interview with Gutter TV that he regretted dropping his death-threatening YoungBoy diss, NBA Smoke.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, even though NBA Smoke did so many views, I regret it. You feel me? Like, I'm gonna honestly say that. Like, I didn't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's certain shit that you gotta, I feel like that was my flaw, that song, you feel me? So, y'all is saying that raw and all that did try to do this and that. I don't even like the song, tell the truth. I hate that. I don't care how many views it got on it, you feel me?
However, the beef would be reignited when YoungBoy returned home from jail. Scotty Kane would post a clip to social media showcasing a long set of both bankrolls and fingernails and saying, "Get your cash, you don't get any money."
Boy, get your cash up, you know.
This would attract a response from OG3, who posted a picture of YoungBoy with money and a caption saying what Kane was holding ain't half of what YoungBoy's holding. This would apparently prompt a response from Kane, where he said that OG3 was holding his big dog's money. Now, I couldn't actually find that post, but YoungBoy seemingly responded from the back of his Maybach, even dragging his manager Fee Banks into the situation.
I don't know what wrong, D. Or listen to my music, be on my gotta free YoungBoy. Say Fee, I ain't gotta tell him, I ain't got no big dogs, man. Everything in my pocket for me. Wrong, D, man. Tripping, boy, get out my. You know what it is.
Apparently, a few months later, Scotty got his chain taken, and YoungBoy would clown him online immediately after the thieves exposed that they had taken his chain.
Boy, I dare anything on my nigga.
However, something else would also happen during this beef that would appear to be much more sinister. A prominent producer for TBG, Austin on the Track, who had made numerous beats for songs made by YoungBoy's biggest rival G Money and Scotty Kane himself, as well as landing credits for Chicago rappers like G Herbo. Austin on the Track was quite literally the person who made the beat for Scotty Kane's NBA YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke. Well, at around 7 PM on the 10th of August 2017, TBG affiliated producer Austin on the Track, real name Austin Rashad Norwood, was sitting in a car with another person outside the Ardenwood Village apartment complex on North Ardenwood Drive. At this point, somebody turned up and sprayed the car with bullets, after which the suspected shooter fled the scene in a car before crashing and escaping on foot. This would leave the passenger injured and Austin himself dead at the scene. This was a brutal assassination, with investigators being seen examining the bullet-riddled scene. But in a chilling turn of events, the body of Austin would even be left in place in the driver's seat of the car, which was towed away from the murder scene, with detectives claiming that the entire car with the body inside it had become a crime scene and would need to be moved with the body to a controlled environment so that they could process all of the DNA evidence. Police would ultimately describe the murder as a suspected robbery, with cops claiming that Austin and his cousin had gone to an address to sell a cell phone that they had advertised online, a situation described on the news as a setup.
A man is shot and killed while trying to sell a phone on North Ardenwood Drive last night.
2 men shot after police say they were lured to the Ardenwood Village apartments in hopes of selling a cell phone to someone they met online. At some point, that transaction taking a dark turn.
While there, the individuals attempted to rob them, shot into the vehicle, striking both victims.
With the victims left for dead inside the car, the suspected shooter allegedly took off. Sergeant Elgin McNeely says for now, it's unclear if whoever pulled the trigger acted alone.
We're just keeping it open-ended and not going to dictate if it's 1, 2, or 3, 4 different suspects, but as the investigation continues, we'll determine all the individuals that was involved.
Now, as far as I was able to find out, this murder was never solved. And once again, let me make it very clear, there's nothing connecting YoungBoy or the NBA crew to this crime, but it's certainly yet another case of somebody involved closely in the rap scene in Baton Rouge, in this case, the producer of prominent YoungBoy diss tracks, who seemingly wound up losing his life in a brutal gangland-style slaying, with the police none the wiser as to who was responsible. A month after this brutal murder, in September, it was believed that Scotty Kane and YoungBoy would finally squash their beef, after Scotty Kane posted a picture of them together on a FaceTime call, along with a caption suggesting that they were on positive terms and both focused on earning money and success rather than beef. Though it would seem that the NBA crew would eventually have the last laugh, as many years later, Scotty Kane would get a taste of his own medicine. He himself ultimately wound up getting jumped on camera in a studio, just like YoungBoy did. And OG3 would later even be seen on social media with the person who had allegedly jumped Kane. Fortunately for YoungBoy, the Scotty Kane beef would be resolved without anyone losing their life. Sadly, however, not everyone would be so lucky. The most prominent beef that YoungBoy was involved in during his rise to fame was with G Money. Real name Garrett Burton, he was a former friend and a star over at YoungBoy's former label, TBG. YoungBoy's other biggest opposition, Scotty Kane, would release the scathing YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke just days after YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla got killed. And while YoungBoy ended up in jail on attempted murder charges for attempting to avenge Boozilla, G Money was linking up with YoungBoy's ops and building alliances to diss him. In January 2017, G Money linked up with Pablo El Chapo, one of the people who'd been in the studio when Scotty Kane allegedly stuck up YoungBoy with a gun and made him cry. They would collaborate on a new YoungBoy diss titled WNBA Smoke, where they referred to him as WNBA YoungBoy and dissed him extensively. G Money would rap saying that he will send a blitz to take out YoungBoy and his team for dissing him, as well as warning YoungBoy that he will kill him.
See, this will happen when one rapper in the city make it, he make it big. The other side, all they songs just blow up off of them dissing.
Yeah, I can see that, and I mean it's funny. I used to say that too. I was like, man, if you want to become a rapper, all you do is pick someone that's big and diss them, so you can get some noise made about you, because people gonna talk about it.
It's crazy just watching. This is a whole nother city we learning about, but pertaining back to the city we in Chicago, it's the same thing. You got Keith, Dirk, and them with the BDs. They all blew up, and some of the biggest songs from the other side, the GDs, is just diss songs, dissing them.
Talking about FBG Duck. And,
all them. It's the same thing. It's crazy.
You know what's really crazy is as I'm sitting here looking at the timeline when they just said 2016, I'm like thinking back, what was I doing in 2016? I was working and where I was working at and all this, and I'm just thinking like I had no idea half this was going on with NBA YoungBoy or even the things that was going on in Chicago. It's really mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
Like I really wasn't until you introduced me into all of this. I had kind of moved so far away from the rap music that I had no clue who NBA YoungBoy is. But it also explains a lot as far as a couple of people I have ran into and people I have met and how their mannerism is and how they moved and how they walk. I think back to 2016, 2017, and I could see where it come from. Like, this is what was happening when I met this one particular guy I'm thinking about. We became pretty cool in that particular environment we were in, but it's just like when I think about him, I think about, it makes sense now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Beefing with that. G Money also appeared on Scotty Kane's song Ain't Gone Ride, where G Money rapped how he heard someone dissing him, but he can't kill them because they keep posting on Instagram. When YoungBoy got out of jail, he dropped his AI YoungBoy mixtape, and that included numerous lyrics seemingly responding to G Money, like the track Ride On 'Em, where YoungBoy seemed to say outright that he's not squashing the beef and that he just talked to the devil, as well as saying that the only way the beef is going to end is if G Money gets shot. And he would go on to rap that he's dropping a bag on him and his crew, and that they're going to ride on him and smash him. YoungBoy was seemingly letting the whole world know that he was planning to pay to have G Money killed. And throughout the verses, he would make bold claims saying that he's going to get it by any means and that the beef is never getting squashed. He would claim that his rising fame had his rivals mad, and saying that somebody is going to get their head bust for making a diss song about him. YoungBoy would also claim to be the reason that their friend got killed, going on to rap that somebody shot up his grandmother's house with a .22, but his shooters got back and sent the ops a special delivery from YoungBoy. Now, it's unclear exactly who YoungBoy is talking about having had killed here, but it could have something to do with a rumor that members from a TBG-affiliated crew called TMH, or Too Many Hitters, shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house, with TMH32 later denying having shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house in his song FAN. Anyway, clearly G-Money wasn't scared of YoungBoy's counter-threats, so he would decide to turn the disrespect up to a whole new level. On August the 15th, 2017, a sensational interview emerged where G-Money seemed to be talking extremely recklessly about YoungBoy, suggesting that they used to be homies, but pointing the finger at YoungBoy, saying that he started sneak dissing him once he became successful.
So, I mean, do y'all have history? Was y'all ever cool, you know, years prior?
Yeah, that's like my little partner. He used to be like my little brother. He stayed with me and everything. Everything was still all good until he started, you know what I'm saying, like doing his own thing, getting him a little buzz, getting a little money. He just got the big head and just started feeling like like the feelings he been feeling probably deep down inside that he was scared to put out. He let that out once he got a name and got from down here.
And then G-Money dropped maximum shade by being very disrespectful about YoungBoy's sister and saying that he'd slept with her.
He mad about his sister too though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Initially, G-Money and YoungBoy would go back and forth on Instagram, with G-Money making a post suggesting that he's not jealous of YoungBoy because he's already rich and living where the white folks live.
Like I'm already rich and I ain't even rich. And I'm living with the white folks. Wrong with these. Food don't impress me, man. You hear me? I know real money, man. Don't impress me, man. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Copycat. You see me do, you want to do what you're supposed to be up to.
YoungBoy would reply with his own story, asking G-Money why he doesn't like him, and saying that he doesn't like G-Money and he's down to beef.
Saying, nigga, what you don't like me or something like that, right? I'm saying, like, what you got something against me? Say that thing, man. Don't be on Instagram and put in 2 different states. You know what it is. Stop, man. What you saying? I'm about beef, and what it is? I don't like you. I'm keep on it. I don't like you.
G-Money would reply saying F YoungBoy and he doesn't care if he doesn't like him, going on to accuse him of copying his style by posting pictures with a Mercedes G-Wagon.
It's not, you know, for you to like, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Just copping off I pull up in that wagon, you go take a picture by a G-Wagon. Boy, you really my son, stop watching me, man. Oh yeah. Get off.
Then, a few days later, G-Money would officially go at YoungBoy on wax with the scathing diss track, Industry. G-Money's diss song Industry called out YoungBoy and the whole NBA crew on a number of bases. It had those lyrics that seemed to hint that YoungBoy had been the one who tipped off G-Money about his cousin Boozilla running off with drugs, and it had more lines seemingly confirming that he had hooked up with YoungBoy's sister, putting maximum disrespect on him. He also dissed YoungBoy for sneak dissing him, and as the title of the song suggested, it dropped shade on YoungBoy for signing a record deal and no longer being in the streets, with G-Money suggesting that after signing this deal, YoungBoy had turned Industry. The song also had another important lyric that seemed to confirm rumors that G-Money had actually had a price put on his head. G-Money even mentions YoungBoy's mother, saying he can't kill him because he's Sharonda's son, indicating that G-Money knows YoungBoy's mother well. He also called out 33 and Montana from NBA, saying that they don't want beef with him. G-Money also brushed off YoungBoy's earlier suggestion that he could pay to have him killed, saying that he will kill anyone who tries them, ultimately declaring Baton Rouge his city. The music video for Industry also included a Chucky doll, which was actually a reference to an early YoungBoy video called What I Was Taught that dropped way back in September 2016. But G-Money wasn't done there. The following month, he would continue to diss YoungBoy, dropping yet another diss song, this time in a remix to Bodak Yellow, calling YoungBoy a fake and warning him not to mess with TBG, as well as saying that YoungBoy is hating on G over a woman and that he used to be TBG but switched up on the crew. G would also shade YoungBoy for signing to a label, saying that by contrast, he got to where he was without a deal, as well as warning that he would be sending shooters to YoungBoy's home. He would reference the NBA crew, saying that he thinks he's Steph Curry, referring to a player in the actual NBA known for his accurate shooting, and G would end the song saying that somebody he tried to kill him, but failed and got killed in return. It would seem for a while that YoungBoy just wasn't responding, but G-Money would continue to go at YoungBoy and the NBA crew any chance he got. In a September Instagram live session, he would continue throwing shade at YoungBoy, mentioning that a Baton Rouge rapper got hot and left everyone behind, and saying that YoungBoy is scared of him and his gang.
These 10 rappers in Baton Rouge be hating anyway, you heard me? They don't be sticking together down here. So what the fuck I look like?
Huh? So let me understand this. If I'm not mistaken, this is the G Money here. Wasn't NBA YoungBoy and G Money living together? At one time they were like brothers.
Yeah.
And then they started the crew together.
Well,
they joined that crew.
NBA joined that crew. G Money and Fredo Bang already had, you know, it was their crew.
Right. That's what I'm saying. NBA, when he started living with them, he joined the crew. He had the t-shirts.
Yeah, they had the hoodie and stuff on.
The hoodie and stuff on. And if I'm not mistaken, that's why he just said that I can't kill you because Shonda's your mom, which was his mom.
YoungBoy mom.
Huh?
That's YoungBoy mom.
That's YoungBoy mom.
Yeah.
But they saying, I thought he was saying like...
He's saying I can't kill you because he said basically because he know his mom well. Because, you know, they used to be like brothers, so...
Right.
He know his mom well, so...
Wow. So now these two are absolutely beefing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting it. When you do this and do that and do that, you ain't sticking with it. You. All these down here, man. Yeah, most of these head of it, man. You sit, put your head down, nigga. And I be by myself, you be with 1,000, man. Yeah, for real. Yeah. If you ain't with us, you can't hang with my gang. And that's on God. Ain't no banging with the gang. I ain't tripping on no dissing on none of that, you heard? It's all good. But just remember, it was there for me. I ain't never do no fake that like that, did you hear me?
G-Money would go on to diss YoungBoy's whole family and say that he's TBG until he dies.
Like on everything I love, man. You, your mama, your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, whoever. Yeah, TBG can really gang TBG till I die.
G would also claim to be respected on YoungBoy's native Chippewa street, saying that he pulled up with his gun and that people had tried to protect YoungBoy.
I ran on Chippewa, man. You heard? I respect it out there. You know what I'm saying? I pulled up out there with a 38 when the whole chopper trying to save him. But I ain't gonna speak on it. You heard me? Way throwback. You heard me? 13, you know. 14, 15, 16. You know, throwback. Damn, man, who got a problem with Young around here? Now Young on the other side. Ain't crazy?
He would also diss YoungBoy's team, saying that everybody in TBG is a boss.
How you a boss and he got a CEO and all this shit, you hear me? You know, yeah, the bull, they got to run them. Don't nobody run nobody over here. Everybody bosses. Yeah, nothing but bosses over here. Be looking at just because they got money, man. Y'all think real? Make no real, man.
It's on sale now at midnightterror.com.
G-Money would even claim that YoungBoy got robbed and stripped and didn't retaliate, with his goons saying YoungBoy won't survive the beef with him.
You ain't do nothing about it. That boy stripped. You stripped and you ain't do nothing about it. So how you think you can tell me something? How you think you can go against me? How you think you can do that? You won't survive. Come on.
Clearly this was a very personal beef aimed at YoungBoy and his crew, and at this point both sides have made outright threats declaring their intentions to kill their opposition. Now, it's been speculated that YoungBoy's manager Big Dump might have had something to do with potentially putting a price on G-Money's head, and in September G-Money would seemingly be posting disses to YoungBoy on social media, all while giving clues as to his own exact location. In one video, G-Money, standing outside, would claim that YoungBoy started rapping and became a killer after he got a record deal.
Say, Lil, you know you ain't living like that, man. You get a deal and you can turn to a killer. When you start doing all that, man, you know you ain't cut like that, man. You know TBG bend your muscle, boy. And the same you talking about usually don't live in jail, wherever they at, man. That's the and you ought to move on the city, man. Yeah, you remember Will's out there. And you remember you ran out that store, man. You know what's happening with us, man. You hear me, real? And I'm living out shit, you hear me? Everything you got with a deal, like I all the deal, man. You hear me? You know, 30 plus on my with no deal. Yeah, for real. Driving a $100,000 coupe, man. Yeah, with no deal, boy. You better stop playing and stay in your place, son.
If you watch that clip carefully, you can see a window with white bars and black shutters beside it. With the
See, man, this is what I be talking about. I do not understand how rappers be contradicting themselves this much. Like, they get in their songs, oh, we don't do no internet beefing, blah, blah. I ain't with the Instagram talking, see me in person, blah, blah, blah. We gonna walk down on you in person, blah, blah, blah. Like, they always saying something like that. And then be the first ones going back and forth with each other on Instagram Live. And then this is what happened. Especially with the technology now, this a couple years ago. With technology now, I mean, they did it then. But all you need is a little bit, see a little bit in your background. Somebody can find your address. Like, it makes zero sense.
It makes absolutely zero sense. And then if you want me to take this even further, you know, I'm sitting up here listening to shit, and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, this dude sound like when I was growing up, two females arguing with one another. Only difference is that they were on phones. Like, you know, I might walk by and hear a female talking on a phone talk to another female. And don't get it wrong. I mean, as time went on, we had cell phones too. So they might be beefing with one another on the cell phone. We didn't have Instagram, we didn't have FaceTime, stuff like that. But that's exactly what this reminded me of, man. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? Listen, first thing I thought about when I just asked you that question was, you know, that's like me sitting back and not doing nothing if you and one of your brothers got into it. Now here you over here in this state and they over here in this state and you two beefing back and forth talking about, yeah, you heard me? You heard me? You know, I'm over here with a deal and you ain't, you know what I'm saying? I'm over here, you know, doing this with a deal, you know, and I ain't got no deal and you out there with a deal. Now, man, I put a stop to that shit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking at, man. Ain't nobody put a stop to this shit. You know, how the hell y'all lived in the same house, you know, and someone's mother took you in and you two supposed to be like brothers and stuff, and this is what you guys are doing right now. So it's actually me taking it a little bit deeper. It's kind of disturbing of seeing that this is what happens. This is just one example of me, but anyway,
facts.
That was what was going through my mind. Like, man,
itself having red brickwork and a black security door. In this clip, G-Money is standing in front of a recording studio at the 1900 block of Dallas Drive that TBG were known to record at. This studio was also featured prominently in the music video for G-Money and Boulevard Quick's song, Set Trippin'.
Put on 17?
Yeah.
And this studio is the exact location where G-Money would unfortunately lose his life. On the 10th of September 2017, G-Money would be seen on TBG were known to record at. This studio was also featured prominently in the music video for G-Money and Boulevard Quick's song, Set Trippin'.
The same place he was recording at the same place they shot a music video and at the recording studio.
And this studio is the exact location where G-Money would unfortunately lose his life. On the 10th of September 2017, G-Money would be seen on Instagram at his usual recording studio working on music, seemingly recording a YoungBoy diss song with lyrics where he says that your favourite rapper is a liar.
Favorite rapper, man.
At around 1:30 AM, G-Money would be found shot in front of that very recording studio that he recently went live at. Fat Chapo, who was with him at the time of the shooting, said that G-Money was caught off guard by a shooter as he walked out of the studio.
I was the first at the door. I'm the one called for help. G walked out that door by himself. I told him before he walked out the door, like, he walked out the door on his own. And they start shooting. When they start shooting, I really didn't know what was going on because I heard a boom, but the music was playing, so it was kind of muffled. When as soon as the shooting stopped, I ran out the door. Nobody was still. I still never saw nobody, and I saw G laying right there on the ground. And I really ain't, once I seen him, all I could do is call 911. You know, try to get help.
Once police arrived, officers would be seen in the dark, taping off the scene and doing forensic work, and G Money would end up leaving the scene in a coroner's van, just like the one that he had showed in his music video Industry, where he said that he would put his ops on the news. And the following morning, the news would indeed report on this tragic killing.
Baton Rouge police are looking into a deadly shooting that claimed the life of a local rapper. Police say someone shot and killed 22-year-old Garrett Burton on Dallas Street around 1:20 last night. Burton performed under the name G Money. Right now, police have not named any suspects or motive. If you can help police or have any tips, you can report them anonymously to Crime Stoppers.
One of G Money's closest friends and fellow TBG-affiliated rapper Fredo Bang, in a DJ Small Eyes interview, would recount breaking down in jail when he heard the news of G's death.
I just broke down in tears, like you know how a baby cry, and you know how a baby cry just here. I really just sat there and locked up.
Scotty Kane would also react to G Money's death, even telling followers that he was getting DMs telling him that he would be killed next.
Man, I wake up to every day, man, my partner got killed tomorrow. What the oh like that, son? Then it's sad to say, man, talking about not even 25 yet, like, come on, man, like, it ain't that serious, son. Before I let you take me, dog, I'm slanging this whoever, whatever, and I don't care who love who, I'm going on my move. Get the from my DM talking about I'm next and all that. Man, I ain't worried about none of that. I ain't worried about none of that. Oh man, when it's my time regardless, but I ain't worried about none of that. Better stop playing kill y'all, son. I do not play by my life at all. I'm gonna step, yeah. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna die about it for real,
The day after G Money was killed, it seemed that fans would attend the scene of the murder, filming the location and peculiarly finding a pillow on the ground. The presence of a bloody pillow at the murder scene would end up going viral, sparking a conspiracy theory that G Money's killers threw.
Everything just made so much sense now.
What?
And actually, you already heard this song. So look, the very first YoungBoy song I showed you was from this year. Cause I was like, remember, if for the ones that been here, the very first YoungBoy song I showed him was "B Word Let's Do It," which came out this year or whatever, and it was I had showed you because I was like this the most recent music video he had, and then we went back and started where he blew up and all that. But I showed you his most recent. Right. Like they do in a movie when you start at the end and then you go back to the beginning, whatever. But in that song, it just happened to be his most recent. It had to be around the time he was dissing Lil Durk and stuff. So he was kind of turned up. And in that song, he said, "I'ma lay your head on that pillow." And in the video, I'll go back and show you the reaction. Cause in the video, he laid on the ground and laid his head on a pillow. And now I didn't know what the pillow was for. Now it's coming full circle. It makes sense. He was dissing G Money again.
Oh wow.
And this is current. This recent YoungBoy. So like I said, he been on house arrest so long and stuff. He had the little beef with Dirk going. He was turned up, and now that's why it was called B Word Let's Do It.
The location and peculiarly finding a pillow on the ground. The presence of a bloody pillow at the murder scene would end up going viral, sparking a conspiracy theory that G Money's killers threw a pillow on him after the assassination and told him to go to sleep, with these rumours being further fueled by YoungBoy lyrics that came out later, like the song Step On, where he says, "Lay your bed, I throw the pillow, police are after all my people." And even in his recent single Bitch Let's Do It, where he rapped that his crew will
They gonna lay your head on the pillow if we creep up on them. That's crazy.
Creep up on their ops and lay their heads on a pillow, with YoungBoy even doing an impression of a dying G Money laying on a pillow in the music video. However, for the record, this is just a conspiracy theory, and some of the more sensible YoungBoy fans would work out that this pillow was actually used by emergency medical staff that had attended the scene. But setting aside those rumours, once this went down, all eyes were on the NBA crew, but it would take years before the authorities were able to identify any of the people involved. DeAndre Fields, aka Lil Pap, or NBA Pap, actually the brother of NBA Ben 10, aka Ben Fields, who also got arrested for being in the car with YoungBoy in that same incident after Boozilla's death where YoungBoy ended up getting the 10-year suspended sentence for. Now, Pat was eventually arrested on second-degree murder charges in connection with the murder of G Money, ultimately being bailed around June 2019.
A lot of you are reacting tonight to the arrest of this man, DeAndre Fields. Baton Rouge police say they arrested him years after the shooting death of a local rapper, Garrett Burton. Back in 2017, Burton went by the name of G Money. He was found shot to death in the parking lot on Dallas Drive there. Police arrested DeAndre Fields for second-degree murder.
And initially, Pat would plead not guilty, but some interesting information would eventually be revealed to the police when they interviewed him after the shooting. He actually told police that he had left Baton Rouge with his mother and son, fleeing to nearby New Roads about 40 minutes away from Baton Rouge after G Money was murdered. As well as this, when asked about his whereabouts on the night of September the 10th, 2017, Lil Pat claimed that he drove to Hammond to get gas. When detectives later obtained his phone records, this claim was proven to be false, as his records revealed that he was actually in Baton Rouge on the night of G Money's death. But perhaps the most shocking piece of information that Lil Pat shared with the police, which I can imagine was a huge driving force behind his indictment, is the following. After police asked Pat who among his friends would shoot people for the NBA group, he replied, "To be honest, me." Now, it's worth adding that in YoungBoy's very first album, Life Before Fame, all the way back in 2015, he basically admits that he can call on Pat to carry out what needs to be carried out in the streets on 2 occasions. Firstly, in the song NBA, and secondly, in the song I Know. Ultimately, Pat would end up pleading out on greatly reduced charges of accessory after the fact of murder and ultimately receiving a sentence of 5 years. Now, interestingly, Pat would go back and forth with the judge during his sentencing, saying that he is taking the deal, but he is 100% innocent. And interestingly, close friend of G...
He only got 5 years for a murder? Well, you got him a deal of a lifetime. That's crazy.
Sentence of 5 years. Now, interestingly, Pat would go back and forth with the judge during his sentencing, saying that he is taking the deal, but he is 100% innocent. And interestingly, close friend of G Money, TBG rapper Fredo Bang, would later claim in numerous interviews that he did not believe Pat to be G's killer either.
Y'all started sending me again. And instead of saying to her, like, you see that? You see that? I see it. Or he's making arrests. That'd be wrong. I man, they do that. Well.
Do you know the guy that's being charged? You said that you didn't think the guy that they're charging with the murder actually did it.
G Money's own mother would also post on social media saying they still haven't found the shooter of her son, and they're still looking. Whether or not you believe NBA Pat when he says that he had nothing to do with the incident, what is clear is that the NBA crew, and YoungBoy specifically, would have the most to gain from G Money being no longer. And going forward, YoungBoy and other NBA members would reference what happened to G Money in numerous songs and videos. The month after G Money's murder, YoungBoy dropped his 10th project, Ain't Too Long, on October the 7th, 2017. This included a number of references to the G Money situation. Firstly, in the murder anthem Red Rum, where YoungBoy claims that he just raised the murder rate in his city. And then, in the song Poor One, YoungBoy seems to be talking directly to G Money throughout the song, alluding to the time when they had a friendship that was like a brotherhood before G Money betrayed YoungBoy's trust by sleeping with his sister and boasting about it online. In the same song, and in the same monologue directed at G Money, YoungBoy reveals that G Money introduced him to them boys who he didn't like for nothing. Them boys most likely being a reference to TBG. Before paying homage to his own fallen friends Boozilla and Lil Dave, YoungBoy would seemingly suggest that G Money had blamed him for drugs that went missing, which caused the tension between YoungBoy and his cousin Boozilla. In another song on the project titled War With Us, YoungBoy talks about the sorry state of affairs in Baton Rouge, saying that one particular week he saw 7 murders and that there is no helping his city. This was a bold lyric that painted a picture of a city completely out of control. The war in the Baton Rouge rap scene had gotten deadly, and now one of the most promising artists in that city was in the grave, with YoungBoy free of his main competition going on to dominate the scene, releasing song after song and mixtape after mixtape, telling heartfelt tales of his first-hand experiences surviving in the trenches of Baton Rouge. But the biggest question remained: was YoungBoy just a rapper making music about the violent war taking place in his city, or was he really the murder man, running his rap career like a gang kingpin and using his NBA crew as muscle to stop anyone who dared to get in their way?
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that
YoungBoy's run from 2015 to the end of 2017 was one of a kind. He dropped 8 solo mixtapes and 1 joint one with Moneybagg Yo, giving fans more music in his formative years than some artists deliver in their entire careers. And this generosity with his art was rewarded by a cult following of loyal fans who fell in love with the music and would always show up for him from here on out. 3 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 and 3 projects on Billboard's 200 albums charts. YoungBoy was flourishing in the music industry since signing his Monster 5 album $2 million deal with.
You know you don't have to do that.
It wasn't disturbing.
No, I'm saying you don't know how to just see how you checking it that quick. You just hold it down like that.
Oh. I'll try that next time.
Atlantic. But YoungBoy was making murder music all about violence and killing. And before we go any further, I just want to address something. In YoungBoy's songs from 2017 and in numerous tracks that came later in his career, he seemingly claims to have 7 bodies. And despite being considered a mainstream artist making music for respected record labels, the content of his music and his own statements in these songs has led to intense speculation over whether or not YoungBoy has in fact personally killed anyone, or more specifically, more than 7 people, as he claims in many of his songs, with many wondering exactly who these people he claimed to have killed might have been. This is not dissimilar to all of the speculation that has surrounded Chicago drill rapper King Von, who was rumoured to have killed at least 7 people, with his name being connected to as many as 11 murders, with an endless collection of tweets and lyrics which saw King Von himself seemingly confessing to playing a role in these specific murders. I personally believe that King Von did indeed kill at least 7 people, and I covered this extensively in my recent video, King Von, Rap's First Serial Killer. But when it comes to YoungBoy, it's much harder to say. After the alleged killer of G Money was revealed to have been an affiliate of the NBA crew, many people thought YoungBoy had directly paid for this hit. YoungBoy has released lyrics before and after G Money's death, suggesting that he was willing to engage in murder for hire, like the track Ride On 'Em, and years later, on his Richest Op album, rapping on the song Dirty Thug, that he just has to pay the fee for his shooters to leave people dead in the street. Also on the track Bitch Let's Do It, where YoungBoy claimed that his gang would creep up and put his ops' heads on pillows. He would also rap that he used his dollars to send hits through the city, and that when this worked, he went on to go crazy with bodies. Also on the track Slimes Go Where I Go, YoungBoy opens his verse confessing that he believes he could get 100 years in jail for the murders he's been involved in. As his career has gone on, more and more fans have theorized as to whether or not YoungBoy has killed, or whether he has at least had people killed. There's even a fan theory that YoungBoy has a child for every person he kills. A theory partly supported by lyrics on a leaked song that didn't end up on the album top, but was circulating in the days leading up to its release. A song apparently titled Soul Stealer, where YoungBoy raps that he has guns with bodies on them and that he's part of a group that he had to kill to join. Even ending the song saying that he's 7 up, but he needs 3 more, and saying that he needs 10 bodies, 10 hats, and 10 mama baby souls. Which, if you consider the fact that he apparently has 10 or 11 kids at this point, could very well hold water. However, some of the conspiracy theories on exactly who YoungBoy may be referring to when he says he has over 7 bodies do seem like a bit of a stretch. The first person YoungBoy is rumoured to have killed or had killed was one of the killers of YoungBoy's childhood friend Lil Dave, with this speculation being based off a single YoungBoy lyric where he appeared to suggest that he paid for vengeance for Dave after he begun making large sums of money. Years later, on the track F the Industry Part 2 on his album Richest Op, YoungBoy would drop a lyric seemingly confessing to having had to kill somebody at age 16, but it's unclear who this may have been. But on the same song, YoungBoy would also drop a menacing lyric saying that he witnessed somebody beating his mother as a child and that he killed them when he grew up. Whether or not you believe that YoungBoy would be capable of killing somebody, you can't deny the fact that after his cousin Boozilla got killed, he caught a double attempted murder charge whilst personally trying to avenge his cousin. However, as the judge acknowledged, nobody actually did die in this case. G Money, however, was less lucky, being gunned down after trading public death threats with YoungBoy. And while the actual shooters of G Money were never found, the conviction of a prominent NBA member on accessory charges firmly pointed the finger at the NBA camp. The next alleged killing is a rumour that's heavily debated amongst YoungBoy fans. An unreleased YoungBoy song called Money Man has been circulating on YouTube, Reddit, and SoundCloud for a number of years. The song isn't listed on lyric breakdown sites like Genius.com, but the track itself does include some outrageous lyrics that have gone viral numerous times on Reddit, particularly lyrics that seem to suggest that YoungBoy killed a rival gang member's girlfriend in retaliation for his grandmother's house being shot up. This all relates to a feud with another set of Baton Rouge street hitters called TMH, or Too Many Hitters. The story goes that somebody from TMH shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house. However, TMH 32 would later deny this shooting in lyrics on his song FAN. But according to lyrics from YoungBoy's song Money Man, another person from TMH by the name of Hammer was actually targeted in a shooting, which unfortunately ended up claiming the life of his girlfriend. Now, while this is just a lyric and an unreleased freestyle, YoungBoy fans on Reddit have desperately tried to solve this crime, with one theory suggesting that the victim was a 19-year-old woman by the name of Ernisha Barnes. The news would go on to report on the shooting, suggesting that she was a passenger in a car hit by accident whilst the shooting targeted the driver.
We also have now learned the identity and the name of that 19-year-old woman. Police tell us that it was about 10:15 last night when an unknown suspect in a red Chevy Trailblazer fired several shots into a car with 19-year-old Ernisha Barnes sitting in the passenger seat. It happened near Gus Young and 48th Street. We're told that Barnes was actually taken to a local hospital where she later died.
Barnes died of a gunshot wound to the stomach after police say a suspect traveling in a red Chevy Trailblazer fired into the car she was a passenger in. Several sources said 2 other people were in the car at the time. It is believed that one of them, Ernisha's best friend, was the intended target.
No one would ever think suspect or imagine something like that happening to them, their child,
However, despite fan theories that YoungBoy was in fact responsible for this tragic murder, later on, 2 completely unrelated people would be taken into custody for this shooting, with it being claimed that the shootout stemmed from an argument and that the shooter was targeting the driver of the vehicle Barnes was in. Donnie Spencer was charged with first-degree murder for the shooting, despite publicly claiming to be innocent, and Ashley Taylor was charged with attempted second-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon, for apparently shooting at a woman in the same spot just minutes before this fatal drive-by, with cops claiming that the 2 shootings were connected and that both shootings stemmed from an ongoing argument.
Scotty Hunter tonight with the key thing that helped police make a very quick arrest.
The man accused of carrying out this year's record-breaking murder in Baton Rouge, 27-year-old Donnie Spencer, is behind bars tonight. As he was loaded off to prison, he had nothing to say except one thing: innocent. Spencer was charged with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder after allegedly gunning down 19-year-old mother Ernisha Barnes last Thursday in a drive-by shooting on Gus Young at 48th. His information put out on Friday. Roughly 72 hours later, he was picked up today by the U.S. Marshals Task Force.
Now, the rumour that YoungBoy was involved in this murder has been widely considered to have been debunked, as Donnie Spencer would eventually be sentenced to 22 years for this murder. However, that hasn't stopped rabid YoungBoy fans from continuing to spread the rumour that the person who took the charge was actually just doing it on behalf of a YoungBoy to take the fall, since he'd maintained his innocence during proceedings. And this rumour has been kept alive by yet more ambiguous YoungBoy lyrics that seem to mention a woman being killed in the crossfire.
This is not just delivery.
YoungBoy be so crazy how he be putting all this stuff together.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mention a similar situation in an unreleased song called Stay in Your Lane, rapping about how she got killed outside a corner store, seemingly a reference to the location of the killing of Barnes. And later, YoungBoy rapped in the song Murder Man, thought it was him, it was his bitch. Let me tell you how that go, I'm the Murder Man. And even more recently, on his 2023 album Richest Op, where he rapped on the song I Heard that someone got swerved on with his girl, she got hit, and all he heard was her last breath. Now, despite the fact that this particular murder has been solved with a suspect who was sentenced for the murder, fans would continue to be desperate to try and link YoungBoy to specific murders going forward, and YoungBoy himself would appear to be happy to contribute to these conspiracies. Throughout his career, he's continued to make supposed murder anthems. Murder songs are essentially a subgenre of YoungBoy songs, primarily where he raps all about these supposed murders and assassinations that he may or may not be responsible for, and repeatedly referring to himself in these songs as a gravedigger or the Murder Man, and claiming to be doing his Murder Man dance to these songs, with YoungBoy fans even rabidly creating playlists of what they feel are his best murder songs, and ranking which murder anthem is the best for spinning on ops, with it generally being considered that YoungBoy's top murder anthem is Dead Trolls, the track which appeared to foreshadow King Von's death, a song where YoungBoy actually raps 7 murders in my hometown, tell them I did that. Naturally, with all of this violent content in the music, and even more real-life violence playing out on the streets of Baton Rouge, it's perhaps not surprising that big corporate entities would be scared to be associated with YoungBoy, the self-proclaimed murder man. But despite Atlantic Records being willing to put their public support behind YoungBoy in the form of a multi-million-dollar record deal, others would be desperate to distance themselves from the violent content of his music. And it's worth noting that a little while after signing his record deal in 2017, YoungBoy quietly changed his official name from NBA YoungBoy to YoungBoy Never Broke Again. Apparently this was a tactical maneuver carried out to avoid a potentially costly and damaging copyright dispute with the real NBA, the National Basketball Association. The initials NBA are trademarked and intellectual property of the National Basketball Association. And ironically, had YoungBoy kept using NBA in his name, he very well could have ended up getting sued and ended up very much broke again. With the National Basketball Association generally being a bit more of a family-friendly business that likely don't want to be associated with the sort of street activity that YoungBoy's NBA are into. Unless your name's Ja Morant, of course, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, after resolving his name change and avoiding a potentially costly legal dispute with the other NBA, and after the murder of his biggest rival in the Baton Rouge rap scene, G Money, YoungBoy, with the support of his label, would launch into a huge promotional campaign for his next project, setting the stage for YoungBoy to have a meteoric 2018, which saw him break into the mainstream music conversation. In January 2018, he released his big commercial single, Outside Today. The song itself was interesting thematically, and perhaps foreshadows YoungBoy's constant subjugation to house arrest. Only in this song, he says that he's staying inside to avoid the paparazzi and all the attention that has come from his newfound fame. The song wasn't short of gangster content either. Elsewhere in the hook, he rapped that he would still do a drive-by in his Rolls-Royce Wraith. YoungBoy goes on to make a pretty bold and shocking claim, stating that if you want to join NBA, you need to have caught a body, along with other lyrics where he claims to jump out and shoot at people's houses, describing the exact scenario where he caught 2 attempted murder charges after the murder of Boozilla. He follows that up with a lyric claiming to always be telling the truth and never capping in his lyrics, a bold claim which is followed up by another ominous lyric where he claims to shoot his ops and their women. Another lyric which is eerily similar to the rumoured shooting of an innocent woman that we discussed earlier on. Now the music video for the song makes a big statement about where YoungBoy's life was at this point in his career. In the music video, YoungBoy's girlfriend at the time, Jania, can be seen trying to avoid a group of paparazzi asking questions as she enters his home. YoungBoy would rap his verses for this song in an opulent mansion, along with a cameo from Louisiana's #1 stunner himself, Birdman, the legendary New Orleans record exec and rapper of Cash Money fame. The red-themed video, along with the presence of Birdman, one of hip-hop's most famous Blood Gang members, appeared to be a subtle hint at YoungBoy's ongoing connections to the Blood Gang, as can also be heard in their 2018 collaboration, We Poppin'. And YoungBoy and Birdman would maintain a close relationship going forward, and they would even eventually create a joint mixtape together with a strong Louisiana theme titled From the Bay. Birdman would also be one of the very first people in the industry to see YoungBoy's full potential, predicting in a 2018 interview just days before Outside Today released that YoungBoy would be the biggest young superstar that the rap game had ever heard of.
I think he's the next biggest young superstar the game had never had. Talent-wise, he's an animal. He's a monster. I had the pleasure of being around him and see how he worked, watch how he worked. I think he's gonna be the next biggest superstar in the world. As the youngsters.
Birdman was spot on, and that single Outside Today ended up becoming YoungBoy's breakout hit, landing on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart at number 31. The song Outside Today would actually be the lead single for YoungBoy's debut studio album, titled Until Death Call My Name, which was released on April the 27th, 2018. This project was a resounding success for YoungBoy, peaking at number 7 on the Billboard 200 albums charts, his highest performing project at the time, and his first top 10 Billboard hit. And the project also included the song Genie, his most viewed solo hit, which today...
You remember that?
I probably will once I hear it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. Now that's the actually. I think I want to say if I go back to that video, we go back and look at. I want to say that's the first YoungBoy song. You was like, I like this.
Okay.
I think that was one of the first ones. 380 million. I ain't gonna lie. That's crazy.
I'm just tripping because they mentioned my song on there.
We Poppin'.
We Poppin'. When you got with Birdman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good song.
Sits at over 380 million views on YouTube. The project itself was laced with interesting and introspective lyrics where YoungBoy painted a picture of the dark life he was living. The song Preach has lyrics where YoungBoy talks about how he often thinks about his dead homies, and we hear YoungBoy reflecting on the state of his mental health as he speaks on how he masks his pain every morning with a smile. The album also references members of his NBA team as shooters like Baby Joe in the first song Solar Eclipse, and secondly in the song Right or Wrong, where he says Baby Joe will put that Draco to people's back or heads. And in the song Solar Eclipse, YoungBoy also reveals that he keeps a firearm even when performing on stage. Elsewhere in the song, he pays homage to legend of Chicago drill music Chief Keef, saying that he's killing like the Grim Reaper and drilling like Chief Keef. An ironic line, given the eventual beef between NBA and Chicago rappers a few years down the line. But at this point, YoungBoy had truly arrived in the rap game. A top 10 charting artist with the whole power of the music industry behind him, despite the violent content behind his lyrics. But unfortunately for YoungBoy, despite his success as a rapper, his past in the streets would indeed catch up with him and his team, and soon he would end up losing one of the people closest to him, his close friend and manager, Big Dump. YoungBoy had a wildly successful start to 2018 after releasing his debut album Until Death Call My Name. And one man who no doubt played a major role in securing these major career wins was his close friend and manager, Desmond "Dump" Hardner. Nicknamed Dump because he apparently loved to play with dump trucks as a child. He grew up and became a key man in YoungBoy's operation, and they would foster a close personal friendship during YoungBoy's come up, with that close friendship ultimately making the loss of Dump a devastating tragedy for YoungBoy. On May the 4th, 2018, just before 6 PM, Big Dump was apparently standing on Nairn Street outside his uncle's house next to his childhood home, when a car pulled up and somebody opened fire on Dump and a woman he was standing with. Baton Rouge police officers responded to a report of a drive-by shooting. When they arrived, they found Dump and a woman suffering from gunshot wounds. They would both be taken to the hospital, but sadly Dump would pass away.
Baton Rouge police say 29-year-old Desmond Hartnett died last night from his injuries. Police say Hartnett and a 32-year-old woman were both shot during a drive-by shooting yesterday afternoon. That happened near the corner of Nairn and Baywell. We're told the woman's injuries are not expected to be life-threatening.
Within a few days of Dump's murder, local news outlets would begin reporting on his connection to YoungBoy and the NBA crew. Many years later, Lil Dump, Big Dump's nephew, would even return to the location of the murder, explaining in a vlog exactly how that day.
Hey, that's crazy. I need to react to Lil Dump. So I didn't never know about him, but YoungBoy just did a song with him like maybe a couple months back, and he kind of starting to pop up on the scene now. YoungBoy starting to have him around and stuff now. So I ain't never know about him, but it's kind of, you know, as a recent, I'm starting to see YoungBoy have him around, and I guess he officially joined the gang, the group or whatever. That's crazy.
Nephew would even return to the location of the murder, explaining in a vlog exactly how that day went down.
What the business is Lil Dump. I'm running it about my life and how I grew up. Let's get it. My uncle Dump, he died on this street I grew up on. My uncle died by himself with nobody around. You know what I'm saying? Like no homeboys, no none of that shit. My uncle died at his house. Basically, he ran from here to there under my uncle's driveway. That's how it happened.
Naturally, YoungBoy would be heartbroken after the loss of Dump, and in the years following Dump's death, YoungBoy memorialized his fallen brother in numerous songs, like in his September 2018 track, R.I.P. Dump, a heartfelt tribute to his fallen manager, a song that was part of YoungBoy's 4-track EP, For Loyalty. On the song R.I.P. Dump, YoungBoy expresses his sorrow and sadness at losing his right-hand man, and seemingly vowing revenge, saying that he has killers backing him up, as well as hinting towards a certain deceased op, rapping that somebody else can't diss because they're dead now. YoungBoy would continue to pay homage to Dump in his music for years to come. He would also drop the 2022 track Letter to Big Dump, a track that was written in the perspective of...
Hey y'all, Letter to Big Dump reaction coming very soon, pretty much, especially since we learning this now while it's still fresh. We're probably gonna hurry up and do that reaction real soon.
YoungBoy writing a letter to Dump in the afterlife.
Nah, that's from 2022. We did R.P. to Dump.
R.P. to Dump, okay.
This Letter to Big Dump, this the one I told you that's like 8 minutes long.
Okay.
Him on all the progress that he had made since Dump passed away. It would also include a lyric where YoungBoy claimed to have had a conversation with the person who put a hit on Dump, with Fredo Bang confirming in a Vlad TV interview in 2023 that he did indeed have a phone call with YoungBoy.
Did the two of you get on the phone together? We talked.
Clearly, YoungBoy knew who was responsible, and it didn't take long for people to begin making theories of their own. Following this tragic incident, many people began to point the finger at TBG, with the main names involved in TBG at this point being Fredo Bang, Lit Yoshi, and Boulevard Quick. And as time went on, there would be numerous lyrics coming out of the TBG Records camp that hinted towards the group having had something to do with the murder of Dump. Fredo Bang was particularly hurt by the loss of his friend G Money, explaining to DJ Small's Eyes in an interview that he broke down in tears in jail when he heard the news of G's death. Fredo Bang was incarcerated on a 2016 attempted murder charge at the time of G Money's death.
Man, shooting by the studio, man. G got killed. So I'm like, man, I ain't trying to hear out. You know what I'm saying? I hang up in his face. I dropped the phone. I just broke down in tears. Like you know how a baby crying in front of 120 grown men. You know what I'm saying? In a real war zone.
And he would go on to publicly blame himself for G-Money's murder, suggesting that had he been free, G might still be alive today. As well as saying in an interview that G-Money...
Hey, shout out to Fredo Bang, man. I rock Fredo Bang, man. He was actually like the first big rapper to comment on one of my videos.
Really?
Yeah. He reposted. I think I reacted to one of his songs a couple months back. He had reposted it, and then I reacted to another one. He had commented on it and reposted it.
Also, isn't this Fredo Bang? When we was talking before, when he was getting released from prison, they said,
yeah, that's the other video.
G-Money.
Yeah, that's the other video we did.
Okay. G-Money just got killed, so they said we're gonna hold you there.
Yeah, they hold him there,
so you don't get in no trouble. Okay.
Leave Baton Rouge, but he had waited around because he knew Fredo Bang was due to get out of jail soon.
The only reason G was in Baton Rouge was because he was waiting on me. I was supposed to get released that week.
Ironically, Fredo Bang caught his charges back in 2016 before the beef between YoungBoy and G-Money had escalated, and Fredo would even later claim in interviews that he was cool with NBA when he went to jail, and that he didn't even realise that they were in a serious beef until G-Money had died. A month after Dump's death, Fredo Bang would be a free man, and he would release a tribute song to his fallen friend G-Money titled Father, where Fredo would be seen in the video visiting G-Money's grave. As well as being a tribute to mourn the loss of G-Money, Fredo Bang would also drop hints in the song alluding to revenge, at one point hinting towards having placed a hit on someone from jail, and ending his second verse saying that now G-Money is dead, he will have to sin again. But Fredo's lyrics merely hinted at revenge for what had happened to G. However, other, more disrespectful songs would be released not long after, sending suspicions through the roof. Fredo Bang and Boulevard Quick had a song called Body Bag, which released just 2 months after Dump's death. And in the music video, Fredo Bang was seen swinging around another Chucky doll. This is a reference to G-Money's music video industry, which itself was a reference to YoungBoy's video What I Was Taught. Something that signals to me a very personal message from Fredo Bang that all of these videos are connected. But beyond the visuals, the lyrics to Body Bag painted a shocking picture. Fredo would rap that they'd pull up on ops and dump the whole clip, and that TBG stretch people. The track had lyrics that said they put someone's homie in a box for dropping knots, i.e. spending money to place hits, and saying that they caught him outside the house, which describes the circumstances of Dump's murder. Boulevard Quick would again reference Dump apparently running from the shooters, saying, "I heard he tripped over his shoelaces." And Fredo would seemingly call out Yoshi and Quick as shooters. Boulevard Quick even claimed to be shooting people from the window of cars, and that would be followed by Boulevard Quick's song And One, which also prominently featured a Chucky doll again. And in that song, Quick would rap that he would have died for G-Money and telling YoungBoy to go dig his friend up, as well as dissing YoungBoy, saying that he went to jail for attempted murder without even shooting anyone. After that, another Fredo Bang song called Lot of Smoke dropped, and in this song, he would rap that he put someone on their back and that he's smoking on a fat man and that he's not dumping the ashes, as well as going on to rap, "I killed your partner, I ain't sorry." In January 2019, Fredo Bang would release a tribute song to his friend YNW Melly called Free Melvin, and in this song, he would seemingly name Boulevard Quick as his shooter and saying that he committed murder after murder, as well as lyrics where he claims that his friend caught a body and Fredo thanked him, going on to say that they were dumping clips and Free Boulevard, seemingly painting a picture of Boulevard Quick as indeed being Dump's killer. In September 2019, TBG rapper Lit Yoshi would also release a track called Blasting, which came with lyrics about walking people down in their own hood and making ops run but still leaving them slumped and shooting them with 7.62 bullets. Yoshi would also later release and delete a track called Chase Down, where he appeared to describe the circumstances of Dump being shot whilst with a woman who was screaming as he ran, and continuing to describe the scene where he claims to have personally chased someone down and left him face down, as well as claiming the whole city are against him and that he's always going to dump or shoot, and claiming to even have a $150,000 bounty on his head, but he's not scared and he's still making his ops run. One particular standout lyric was from his song Drake's, where he says he put it on that truck, an obvious reference to Dump. Lit Yoshi would also release his new song Runts, named after the popular brand of Mary Jane, on 4/20/2020, and in that song he would rap that he's smoking on that truck while standing on what looked like a large dump truck, as well as dropping lyrics where he claimed that he'd catch ops in their own hood and shoot them, and repeating the ad-lib "dump dump dump," which he censored on the music video.
Damn, never amazed me with the with how creative they be trying to get with these disses. That man found the whole dump truck.
Dump truck, as well as dropping lyrics where he claimed that he'd catch ops in their own hood and shoot them, and repeating the ad-lib dump dump dump, which he censored on the music video version of the song. However, uncensored versions of this track do still circulate on YouTube. And in the verses, seemingly addressing YoungBoy directly, he would rap that he hit someone's partner up, and claiming that when bullets get to flying, people start running while he's coming, gunning, and dumping. Even in a 2021 interview with DJ Vlad, when asked about dump, Fredo Bang seems to beam an enormous smile across his face before catching himself and then pretending to not know who Dump is at all.
This guy named Dump ended up getting killed in May 2018?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I ain't never heard of him.
Okay. Dump's murder was never officially solved, but the music painted a clear picture of who had the most to gain from Dump's death, and as time went on, more of those people would continue to make songs and social media posts mocking Dump's death and antagonizing the NBA crew. And so, perhaps unsurprisingly, it was only a matter of months before a deadly retaliation would take place, leaving one of those individuals who had mocked Dump's untimely demise facing the exact same fate.
You wanna stop there?
That's cool.
Man, the murder of Boulevard Quick. What we had 2 hours and 3 minutes.
That was another full hour.
Yup. Yeah, see, we got some music catching up to do before we get to. I see at 2:37. He gonna talk about AI YoungBoy 2. That's the album everybody keep waiting for us to get to in 2019.
Okay.
That you see right here what the title say. It say AI YoungBoy 2, a modern rap classic. So yeah, they've been waiting on. That's why everybody been waiting for us to get out of 2018, get to that 2019, get to that album right there, man. But yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that was a lot of information. That was crazy. That's a lot of stuff didn't know. And it'd be funny, like we just saw. It'd be funny how they really get really creative with these diss songs and stuff.
Not only did they get creative with the diss songs, I mean they basically, as long as you can't use these words against you in a court of law, they telling you exactly what they did.
Exactly.
They ain't call YoungBoy up and say, hey man, listen, let me tell you what I did. They just rap about it.
And it's crazy. Once again, we gotta go back to. Being here in Chicago, we gotta go back to where we started at when Chief Keef and them first started off doing this stuff, and it spread across every hood in America.
Yeah, but this ain't this is crazy. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, this is crazy. This even crazy to me. I ain't gonna lie, but I mean it's very similar though. It's all similar because they stand. I'm pretty sure they stay blocks away.
Yeah, I mean it's a small town in the area, but this is all I'm gonna say is this is very interesting. I really just can't believe, we're back in 2016, 2017, and I had no clue who NBA YoungBoy was or Fredo Bang or any of these.
It's crazy because
rappers.
even if we knew about NBA YoungBoy, like all this stuff, like, but I didn't know about this stuff to this detail because it's almost like being in Chicago. A lot of stuff that was going on in the streets and stuff, you would hear about, like, and it was like Chicago was on a way bigger scale because you had people making channels off of all the stuff going on in the streets. So Chicago was like way big scale, but like the year I wasn't living up here, I'm hearing about all this stuff that's going on. When you actually living there, I was not hearing about everything like that, which was crazy.
Right. It's absolutely is crazy, but
But yeah, but it's also crazy if y'all know I lived in Dallas, and that's right next to Louisiana, so that's crazy. Oh, this living down there in the South, and I know a bunch of people from Louisiana and stuff. But yeah, man, part 3 look like it's gonna start with the murder of Boulevard Quick, man. Like I told y'all, we're gonna get that letter to Big Dump. That reaction gonna be coming real soon, probably after I drop this video. But yeah, man, if y'all new here, hit the sub button. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the post notification bell. Gang.